Hey guys, hope you guys are having a great day. I'm coming to you with another tutorial today. I know this is like probably the third tutorial in about 3 weeks, but I thought I'd come to you with a brand new tutorial. This tutorial is going to focus primarily on Blob Brush tool. Now, this tutorial is going to be focusing on the Blob Brush tool. This is something that I've used for probably about maybe 6 months to a year now. Ever since I found out about it, I've loved it. It's helped me out tremendously in a lot of my illustrations. I've used it on many big projects that I worked on. One of my favorite projects, Ben the Rooster, I used it on there. I used it also on my Envision Designer Halloween costume series and my Stranger Things illustration. So sit back, relax, and I hope you guys learned something from this. But enjoy.
Okay, everybody. So today's video, like I said, is going to be talking about the Blob Brush tool. Now, in order to really get the best effects with the Blob Brush tool, I use my iPad Pro along with my Apple Pencil, which allows me to use pen pressure sensitivity with this. Now, you can totally use a mouse or a trackpad to along with the Blob Brush tool, but it's not going to be nearly as effective as using the iPad Pro, a Cintiq, or some other type of digital drawing tablet. So just so that we're clear, I'm going to be using my Apple Pencil, which will allow me to give some very good pen pressure variable strokes for the Blob Brush tool. Okay, so let me just talk about the very basics of the Blob Brush tool. So in order to find the Blob Brush tool is right here, right underneath the Paintbrush tool in the tool panel. So all you have to do is click and hold and then click the Blob Brush tool here. Now, the difference between the two is the brush tool will create a stroked line similar to this right here, whereas the Blob Brush tool will create a vector line here, which allows you to go in and manipulate it like it was a vector shape. So now that we have that out of the way, let me just move this over and let me show you what the Blob Brush tool can actually do. So normally, I'm going to choose the Blob Brush tool. One second. There we go. So I'm going to get the Blob Brush tool. Now, the shortcut to get it is actually, if you look here, it says Shift B. I know it instantly, so I normally use that. You can go up here, and I'm just going to choose the regular brush for the Blob Brush tool, this 10-point brush, which has no variable strokes. Now, I just did that, and when I select this, all of these are vector shapes now. They're outlined. They're not stroked or anything like that. So that's really cool. Now, the thing that this really comes in handy with is when you're doing like coloring and things like that, because then you can go in here, do this, and you have a solid shape. Now, I'm going to go in and show you a great example of this in a moment, but first, I want to show you my favorite thing that I learned with the Blob Brush tool. Now, in the past, I would have just gone in and used the standard brush shape here to fill in lines. But then I realized that you can actually go in and create your own brushes. So this is a brush that I created. And if we look here, you can see that it's pressure sensitive. Just like that. I love this. This has changed everything when it comes time for me to do drawings, because let's say we had like a small little area like this in the infinity sign here that we had to fill in. So I'm going to change this to a different color and just show you how much, let me go to my swatches, how much this comes in handy. I'm going to switch it to this draw behind, and I'm going to, I don't want to have too much overlay, but then when I get over here, I need to fill it much quicker. And so I press down harder and it fills it a lot better. So once again, here we're going to just go right in there, and then we're going to press down harder and get the deeper stroke, just like that. I love this thing. You'll see in a moment how much it can really help with smaller details. That way you don't have to keep changing the size of your brush. Now, I'm going to quick show you how to create this. So when you go to this area up here, up top, right up here, you have your brush definition here. So you can create a new one by going right here, clicking new brush, and we're going to do a calligraphic, tongue-tied here, brush. Click OK. And then this is where you can really play with it. So you can make them nice and big. You can make them small. You change like instead of being fixed, you change it to pressure. I don't change the angle or the roundness or anything like that because that makes things a little bit too complicated. And then you can even go here where you have like a variation. This, if you look at this area right here, you can see this is what's going to be the low pressure. This is what's going to be the high pressure here. So by setting it to like a 10-point variant with the size being 20, this is the smallest with barely any pressure, and this is going to be the biggest with more pressure. So we click that, we have our new brush, and now let's test it out. Oops, there we go. So barely any pressure, more and more pressure, and very deep pressure. So that's a pretty good brush to use. And it really just helps out with everything. So we're going to use this new brush, and we're going to use it down below. Let's go ahead and just delete all this stuff here. So we're going to go down below here, where I have an old illustration that I created. And this is where I first used the Blob Brush tool, was in this illustration. So we have here on the left is going to be the regular outline, so you get to see the progress that we're making. And then right here we have the color and fill. So let's zoom in here. I have the line work on a separate layer above this, so where you don't have to worry about the going behind. And let's go to my library, my CC library. I get a lot of questions about where I get how I have all these color swatches here like this. This is just a CC library. Maybe sometime in the future I'll do a video just on that. I have a special color tone just for skin tones. We have darker here. We have like the shadow tones here. So I'm just going to choose this color. Sometimes CC Libraries does mess up, so I have to do it this way. There we go. All right. And so we're going to start off by, let's start with something small. So let's start off with the arm, the left arm. So as you see here, I'm going very light to produce a very small brush stroke, so that fills in the small nooks and crannies but doesn't come out. And before I found this way of using the calligraphy brush like this, it was a lot more difficult. Sometimes you have to go and you have to redo some of the strokes, but it's okay. Before, like, you would have this big brush tip and you would go outside, you have to go back in, you'd have to erase a bunch of stuff, and it was just a pain. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to deepen the pressure and come down and just fill that in, and there we go. So now we have one arm complete. Just fill in because I think there's a couple small dots there. Let's do the other arm, same thing, very, very light brush strokes, barely putting much pressure at all, so that we have the nice small tip of the brush. I love using pen pressure in Illustrator. I don't use it so much with strokes, but I use it a lot when it comes time for this because it really helps to get the fill that I'm looking for. This is a very tedious thing when it comes to, it's a lot of people will use different ways of coloring in their illustrations. They'll use the paint bucket, things like that. I prefer, with these types of illustrations, I prefer to do it this way. And the reason being is because it almost is therapeutic. It's a lot of fun to just color in stuff. It's kind of like one of those adult coloring books, except for it's my artwork that I'm doing. So it's very therapeutic for me. It's a lot of fun. Now, also, one thing I didn't mention here, I'm going to do it out here so you can really see, but I can draw a line here. And then if I draw an intersecting line, let me get this here, and click, notice it automatically combines it. So you can see here, the only reason why these two pieces didn't was because there's a space in between. But if I were to take the Blob Brush tool and just go like this here, and we check it out again, it's all combined. So it's a little fun little tidbit here. Just going to keep on coloring. And for me, like if I happen to go beyond the lines, if in like an interior aspect, so you can kind of see right here, it kind of went outward. It's fine because we're going to be putting another color on top of it. Sometimes I won't even worry about it, and I'll just go by, just like how I did right there. Come down, up like that. And now this is an interesting technique. Instead of having to go in and fill all of this area with the blob brush, there's multiple ways you can do this. You can either select this, go to the shape builder, press shift, and scroll down and fill it that way. Or a simpler, quicker way is just click one of these interior points. As long as this is completely sealed off, if you see here that we're not selecting outside, we're selecting inside, you just select one point, delete, and delete. And there we go. Instant fill. This allows things to go by so much faster. Let's go ahead and get these pupils done here. And sometimes it will go out like right there. Since this is cancel. Okay. Since this is a small element, I'll just undo and redo it more carefully. And there we go. That's good. Go to this one here. Fill that one up. There we go. And this is what I basically do for like the entire illustration. And so for right now, I'm actually going to speed this up. That way you don't have to be worrying too much about all of this. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up, and I will explain a few things at the end of this video. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Watch as the moonlight creeps into the room. You're in the headlights. I wanna feel the way you do. Remember the summer? We chased the morning light. We ran for hours. You were always on my mind. We tried to make it out alive, but we let it slip away. If we only had a second shot, we'd find another way. If we could do it all over.
Okay, so now I have everything colored in here. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and create just some quick and dirty shading for this. Now, the cool thing about the Blob Brush tool is it will actually keep any blending modes you apply to it, which is really cool. So let me you're not going to see this in the video, but I'm creating a new layer, locking the current one, just specifically for this. All right, and I'm going to go and grab my Blob Brush tool. I like to use purples to apply this, especially since it is a contrasting element to this, and also purple does go pretty well when it comes to shading digital illustrations. I found that blue is also a great alternative as well. But first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the Blob Brush tool. I'm going to keep it all one solid color. I'm not going to do any blending modes to it. but I'm just going to do this just to apply my shading.
You would get the best of me, could be forever. I would never let you leave, it's not too late to make it as we planned, 'cause we still got a shot in the dark, you and I. Watch as the moonlight leaves us in the dark.
Okay, so now I've applied all of my shadows, and I'm just going to add my blending mode here, which is usually multiply, and then set down to about like a let's try a 35% opacity. Yeah, that feels about right. And see, now we have this entire illustration. It's complete. That was it. All of the coloring, all the shading was done with the Blob Brush tool. Now, in a future video, I do plan on maybe doing a eraser tutorial as well and show you how I use. Now, the one thing I'm going to quick talk about is, you might have seen, it might have been a little bit too quick, but I used the eraser tool, which is right here. It's right below the brush and Blob Brush tool. I use that just to clean up some of the shading mess ups that I had. It's something that's super easy, and it's definitely something you should check it out. But I think that's it for today's video. And I think it's definitely something you should try and use to clean up your illustrations. If you go a little bit beyond with the Blob Brush tool, it's fine. You don't have to keep redoing it over and over. Sometimes the eraser is all you need to fix it.
Okay, so welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little bit of something from this. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please leave a comment down below. I'll answer any questions you guys might have. If you guys just want to say how great the video was, by all means, I love hearing from you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like this video. Please check out my other video. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, again, leave a comment below about any future videos you might want to see, any type of tutorials that you might. I spit on the camera. Let me know in the comments below if there are any tutorials you might want me to work on, anything that involves Illustrator, using my iPad Pro, anything like that. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, if there's any videos you want to watch. As always, everybody, remember, stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative. All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye.
We